Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Video Clips. And just a couple of announcements. Tonight is starting the HIV AIDS class series. I've scheduled 5 classes. We may need more. It's a big story to tell, has a lot of bearing on what we're all living through today. And I think you'll learn a lot, not only about that particular condition, but about public health and many other things that I think people should know a lot about. Another thing, remember every Thursday at noon, I do a conference, noon Eastern time, I do a conference call for people who are interested in mobilizing with us, and then keep those career questions coming. I'm working on summer semester, and so there are a couple of classes left in winter semester that people who are training with us for careers in the type of work that we do, which is informed medical decision making, working outside the medical system to help people get healthier. So we have a couple things left this semester, but then if you're thinking you want to start summer semester, get in touch with me and we can have some conversation. I can fill you in, send you information about what we do and that sort of thing. So if you are an already trained doctor, nurse, dietitian, thinking I want to be in a different avenue or method of healthcare, let me know, pampopper@msn.com. And if you are not a healthcare professional, but thinking you'd like to get involved and help people learn the truth about health, then we've got programs for you too. So this was sent to me. It comes from the article that I'm going to quote from is called Dealing with COVID Fatigue, sent to me by a viewer. Thank you very much. The author is Betty McDowell, who's Vice President of Ministry Services for Heartbeat International. And I'm going to paraphrase a few things because I realize that we have a number of different people from different religious backgrounds and orientations or lack of religious backgrounds. And so I think the information is really important, and I don't want the religious aspect of it to keep somebody from getting the greater message. So I'm just going to, like I said, I'll read some of it directly because I think it's important, and a few things I'll paraphrase along the way just to let you know. So the author writes, recently I came across the term COVID fatigue. I'm not talking about the symptoms of coronavirus, but a collective fatigue we all feel living through this pandemic. We're tired of lockdowns and masks and quarantines and social distancing and uncertainties and conflicting information, and many of us are feeling frustrated, isolated, fearful, restricted, and frazzled. Moreover, while many of us were hopeful in the spring, this has gone on longer than many of us have expected. And at this point, many have given up and are saying when things, they don't even say anymore when things get back to normal. There's almost a sinking feeling that this could just go on for a real long time. We're trying to do something about it, by the way, but woven into our COVID fatigue is the accumulation of loss. And I've talked about this personally in many videos, that relationships are fractured. And so the author says, all of us have suffered loss of incomes and jobs and vacations and family reunions and graduations and weddings and welcoming new babies, and for some, the loss of relationships through death. And then I've talked about the loss of relationships because of disagreement about all of this. During this time when funerals and gatherings are limited or postponed, even grief and closure can be put on hold. Let us be real. There have been moments when the temptation to slip into despair is difficult to overcome. And thus the suicide rates have been so high during this period of time. All that said, there are good things happening too. We don't have to fall into, or even worse, live in despair. What we do need to do is find ways to live well today and to help our loved ones do the same. And I think this is important. I do see a way out of this, which I talk more about on Wednesdays and Fridays. But having said that, I don't see a way out of this by the beginning of next month. And so since we're all going to have to live with this for a while, I think finding some way to make life tolerable is really, really important. And I think that this woman offers some suggestions that we actually should take to heart. One is to do not ignore the accumulative loss in your life. And I think this goes to the fact that trying to pretend like something didn't happen or trying to feign indifference to it doesn't usually work. Sooner or later, the feelings will surface, the anger will come out. I mean, whatever it is that you're experiencing, sooner or later it will be in full bloom. And so I think we need to acknowledge and talk about it And the author suggests journaling. It is therapeutic to journal. It is therapeutic to just sit down and think about what's going on and how you feel about it, and process it. I've talked, when we talk about loss, I've talked a lot in previous videos about some of the relationships that we're ending up leaving behind. I think were fragile before this happened. And so I'm thinking, how long could these have survived anyway? So I've mentioned that COVID just speeds up the process of many things, and I think that we're all seeing that. Another one is check your self-talk. What you say to yourself all day long really matters. And if you're saying things like, it's not worth it, why bother, the best is over, nothing will ever be the same again, life sucks, and all that kind of stuff, we are having a pandemic. I think that I agree with this one. There's a bit of a spiritual battle going on here. But what you say to yourself all day long can either reinforce negative thinking and make the spiral downward actually accelerate it, or it can bring you out of that. And I find myself doing that to a certain extent too. It isn't all wine and roses in my life. Maybe it is much more than others. I have a great deal to be grateful for. But, I have to catch myself and say, wait a minute, this just isn't, what just happened is not worth all the time you're putting into it. And that goes to the next thing, which is choose gratitude. Gratitude and anxiety cannot coexist. This woman says it, Dr. Peter Bregan says it, the psychiatrist who's a great friend and business partner, has a new book coming out, by the way, that I highly recommend. Just you cannot be grateful and anxious or depressed at the same time. So you have to focus on the things that are good in your life. I mean, every day I get up and I can focus on the 5 things that are wrong or the 25 things that are right. Now, there's no question that if enough goes wrong, it's easy to go to those 5 things that are wrong. But, there's always more to be grateful for. And there's always hope, and we should not lose sight of that. And then she says, tell yourself the truth. This isn't the end of things. You're not alone. The pursuit of life and joy are still possible. And catastrophizing, by the way, is a common affliction of people who end up in therapist's office, seeing the worst of everything. Again, this self-talk of, I can't take it anymore, and the world's coming to an end, and I'll never have another friend, and there's nothing to do, and I'll never, that you can tell yourself that all day long, and that becomes the reality. Or you can tell yourself the truth about what's going on, which is that everything isn't awful, and we need to remember that. Talk with friends, reconnect with your church or synagogue, read inspiring books. This is a time, I'll tell you one thing I have found. I've had an enormous amount of work to do, so I don't have a lot of recreational time. But because I don't do anything except for work and come to the office and work and Make Americans Free Again meetings and things of that nature, I have had a lot of time to just be calm and read. I've been reading. I've done more fun things than you might imagine. I mean, going to yoga is fun. Running is fun. Exercise is fun. Eating great food is fun. And we've managed to make a great deal of normalcy around here, deliberately so. So do that, and then purposely choose hope. If you don't purposely choose hope, by default, you can end up choosing to think about disaster all the time. Of course, this woman comes from a religious standpoint, has great faith in God, as do I. If you're not there, I think that you have to look at what you do have faith in. And one thing that I encourage people to look at is there are a lot of bad actors today. There are a lot of nasty people walking around today. There are a lot of nice people walking around today. And I watch people doing things all the time that they don't want anybody to know that they did it. I talked to a woman yesterday who heard about the restaurant owner in Michigan who got arrested and just sent her a few dollars and an encouraging note. There are good people in the world, and we have to stay focused on that. And we have to make sure that we don't think that the lowest common denominator of our society right now constitutes the majority, because it really doesn't. And so, I think it's important to get up and set some intentionality for the day. And that's essentially what this woman is saying here. And the intentionality is that it's going to be a good day. the intentionality is that positive things are going to happen. Some negative things happen too, but a lot of positive things happen. And if you're so focused on the negative, you sometimes don't even realize the positive things or appreciate them when they happen. So a few minutes spent in the morning saying today is whatever day it is, and I can look forward to certain things happening. I've also found this. Every day there's something to look forward to that's sort of normal activity. And if I really focus on that when I get up first thing in the morning, even negative things don't bother me because I have already made myself aware of consciously the good things to look forward to. So I don't think anybody right now is saying, gosh, this is the best of times. I mean, I don't think anybody who's telling the truth says that. But I think that many of us are not saying that it's the worst of times either. And so you have to decide which side of that coin you want to be on yourself. Okay. Remember that I put out a newsletter on Monday. I also put out videos on Wednesdays and Fridays of a different flavor. And if you're interested in those resources and making sure that you get all of the information from us on a regular basis, send me an email at pampopper@msn.com. And always feel free to go to our website at WellnessForumHealth.com and look at all the stuff we do. We put out an enormous amount of information. A bunch of it's free. Some of it you have to pay for because we, like everybody else, have to keep ourselves in business. But you could learn from us till the end of your days and not run out of things to do. Lots of live classes every week, etc. And that could be one of the things that you do that's positive. The Curious About COVID workshops have gone great. People love them. We're going to continue that. So watch our calendar and you can sign up for those. And we're also going to add 2 COVID workshops to our member benefits in April. Lose the COVID 25 and also the health lessons from COVID. So make sure you take advantage of those. All right, as usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it. And I will be back to you tomorrow with more news on an alternative station, but I will be back with more news.